Hello and welcome to ITWeb TV with me, Sibahle, Malinga. And today we're coming to you live and direct from ITWeb Security Summit right here at the Sandton Convention Center in Johannesburg. Yeah, we've had a lot of speakers taking to the podium today talking about all things cybersecurity. Well, speaking of talking about cybersecurity trends, I'm joined in studio this morning by Munyaradzi Chadenga. He is the vCISO. He's the founder and CEO of the Cimplicity Institute. And Bernard is one of the speakers in the agenda for tomorrow's sessions. So he's here to talk to us about some of the trends that are dominating in South Africa's ICT industry. And most importantly, he's also going to be talking to us about his presentation, which takes place tomorrow. So do come and join us if you want to catch Bernard. Bernard, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Morning. Thank you so much for having me.
It's great to have you. So before we get to your presentation, I think you have quite an interesting title, vCISO. What is a virtual Chief Information Security Officer?
Well, so the concept of a virtual CISO actually comes from the understanding that some companies can't really manage to hire a full-time CISO. Maybe they can't push the budget of a 2 million, 3 million, 5 million rand sort of salary. Maybe they don't have enough people. Maybe they don't really want to invest that much in the human resource component of cybersecurity. So a virtual CISO, the concept itself, also called a fractional CISO. It talks about a person coming in for a fraction of the time. So I tend to come into businesses and I assist them for a specific initiative, a specific project for maybe 3 months, 6 months. Normally it's less than a year, and normally it's highly intensive. We want to get something done. We have some outlined results, and then once we're done, we complete that piece of work, and then we make sure that we help them in the future if they need anything else.
So it's a specialized service, which is usually on a short-term basis.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So in your presentation tomorrow, I understand that you're going to be focusing on how the role of the cybersecurity professional has changed over the years. Mm-hmm. So in a nutshell, just give us a synopsis of that transformation.
Well, I'm talking about how the role of a cybersecurity professional, this is talking about everyone from the lowest end all the way up to CISOs, has started to converge and sort of convert itself into something that's more human. So we're speaking about soft skills. Now, I don't like calling them soft skills. I like calling them life skills, because you learn about life skills from the time you're a baby all the way until you're an adult. Everybody understands empathy. Everyone understands communication. Everyone understands leadership. So tomorrow, I'm going to speak about that. I'm going to speak about how people can help their teams in getting better. And I'm also maybe going to give some advice around what I've seen in the market, what's short, and what we could start improving on as a South African and an African sort of market and context.
Very interesting. So I'd like you to actually break down that role. So from a traditional perspective, what would these so-called soft skills be? And how have they advanced over the years?
Well, so, it's actually quite interesting that you say it like that, because traditionally, all of the soft skills, the life skills, were skills that we talked about even when we were at school. When you're doing something like a business communication, a business leadership, when you're doing things such as teamwork, working with others, these are all concepts that we know about. These are all concepts that we think we understand. However, I started to realize that as the world has started to progress, global village technology and everything around it, people have started to become a little bit more distant. Maybe it's because we spent 2 years under lockdown, or maybe it's because some of these skills are not as valued as they used to be by the businesses. The businesses themselves have to understand that if you can't communicate effectively in a team, when you get promoted, you can't communicate effectively to your team. When you become a director, you can't direct effectively, you can't communicate to board, you can't speak to your peers, and you're going to face so many challenges with something as easy and as simple as saying, team, this is our direction, this is the strategy, or team, I'm going to lead you, and this is how we're going to move. And these are, I call them the basic foundations of how we work. But we started to overlook them because it's become easier and easier for us to just say, well, I've been working 2 years, I'm sure I'm great at communication. But unfortunately, evidently, we're not. The resignations, the discontent, and, the rising mental health issues in the workplace, toxic workplaces, these are all things that people are talking about. And this all stems from our inability to look at life skills as important skills to have.
And these are skills which are beyond the core cybersecurity skills, because, of course, you need to be a social person as a CISO, and you're going to be interacting with all these different departments. And in fact, I was in a conference once where there was talk of how the CISO's role has become so important that the CISO themselves now need to form part of the board in one way or another. We've been seeing over the years how chief innovation officers have been slowly trickling into the ExCo team, and therefore they're part of the board. Do you think that CISOs should form part of the board members?
Well, 100%.
Or is the ExCo team?
No, 100%. But remember that we're looking at it from an Africa context. So the market in the States, in Europe, in Australia, and I've worked a little bit, I've done a little bit of virtual CISO work in America, and I've noticed that the market is far more mature there. So they're able to have those discussions, they're able to communicate at that level, and they're able to rise someone up and say, we need cybersecurity sitting on this table. But here in Africa, cyber is not yet that much of a key or critical aspect. It's growing. It's becoming more and more important. I mean, you guys are writing the headlines every day.
And the actions are busy every day.
Oh, every single day. They're getting better, actually.
In more advanced.
They're getting better. And now it's become a discussion where the cybersecurity specialists, the CISOs, need to be able to walk up to board and explain what a breach means in rands. Not talk about it, how much our technology has gone down, or how long it's going to take us to come back up. No, this is costing us 36 million every minute. Are you going to pay attention now? And as soon as we start those conversations, the Africa context, the South Africa businesses will start saying, we probably need this person to sit in this room on this table.
So I can imagine that there are several important skills outside of the cybersecurity skills, as you've spoken about. Which do you think are more important? And perhaps as a follow-up to that, how would you suggest companies start, imparting these skills upon their chief information officers, security officers?
So, it's actually, I love that question. Thank you. Because it's not actually something that we can start at CISO level. We actually have to start it at a grassroots level. Like, to just give you an example, our kids learn sharing at school. They learn kindness, empathy. And these are traits that we actually need in the workplace. So our cyber professionals, maybe back in the 80s, 90s, when cybersecurity was still called InfoSec, and information security was still growing to become cybersecurity. Back then, we were envisioned as people with a hoodie inside a little cave, typing away.
Never talk to anybody, antisocial.
Yes. And we actually hired like that. If you talk too much, you are definitely not the type of person we want for our cyber team.
Wow.
You had to be quiet, you had to be sullen, you almost looked like you were depressed all the time, like a movie character. And now we've realized, as we've progressed, that no, we need this person to be able to communicate and tell us what's wrong. We need this person to come out of their shell and be part and parcel of the rest of the discussions. Cyber needs to join the business and become part of the business.
Absolutely. Because when that doesn't happen, there are many repercussions, right? So as we bring cyber closer to the business, what kind of specialty skills should we start expanding into that perhaps may have been overlooked in the past? You speak about business communication skills, which is a key skill.
It's actually quite interesting because you should be getting the skills training as you progress. Most companies do have some sort of learning and training platform where they're teaching you, public speaking, for example, which would be so that you can present at board and we can present at these events. The communications that we've already talked about, the teamwork, the team leadership, the supervisory roles. So when someone gets promoted from being a team member to becoming a supervisor, that person actually needs to go on a training course for a week or two to learn how to supervise. And in learning how to supervise, they learn leadership. When you reach a certain level, maybe you're a manager, you're a senior manager, you're in charge of a team of brand new juniors. You need to learn how to coach, how to mentor, and not everybody can teach. So that also needs a little bit of training from the company side to say, listen, you're in a position of power now. You are running a department with 36 people. Of those 36, 10 are brand new, fresh from high school, fresh from university. Teach them what you learned. Impart those skills, share those skills. And that's actually something I was speaking about earlier today with a bunch of CISOs. And I said, all of us have a responsibility to mentor the new generation, especially in life skills. We can always mentor in cybersecurity. It's our go-to. It's automatic. Yeah. But mentoring in life skills so that they can know, how hard was it for me to explain that I need bigger budget for board? How difficult is it for me to create a report that can be presented to the executive? So those types of things only come through coaching and mentoring. They only come through us being able to impart to our juniors.
The conversation of upskilling and reskilling is really becoming more and more important as we enter the fourth industrial revolution. And the interesting thing is that with that, there has always been an emphasis on soft skills. So soft skills will always be just as important and these digital skills and the fourth industrial revolution skills. And so just in closing, let's just remind organization leaders and executives who may be watching out there and who are actually decision makers within their organizations, why it's important for this chief information security officer's role to be taken more seriously, and even in cases where it's necessary to be invited as an ExCo, as a board member, and be able to influence important decisions, because cybersecurity is a big issue. We've seen companies not only being fined a lot, but we've seen companies close down as a result of vulnerability and being hacked and not being able to adequately deal with the repercussions thereof.
I think one of the you're exactly right, and me and you are aligned in our thinking. One of the biggest challenges that we're having is we are failing as leadership, cybersecurity leadership, to explain to the business our criticality. And the criticality is only known to business after a breach. It's very difficult to talk about cybersecurity and influence cybersecurity decisions. However, as we start to progress in strengthening these soft skills, which also includes negotiation, it also includes influencing, not necessarily manipulating, some people like to say, but it's more or less around being able to find people within the business who understand where we're trying to go. We are part of enabling your business. Cybersecurity is not a cost center. It's not a waste of time. It's not a resource-hungry department. It's an enabler. You can talk about how secure you are. You can talk about how great you are and how brilliant you are by making sure that the teams around that are also trained adequately. You know exactly what we're trying to do, and we're pulling towards the same, we're sort of aligned with the business objectives. And I think that's the whole purpose of technology. We want to assist the business in getting the job done.
And of course, that includes satisfying their customers and eventually seeing an ROI and improving profit margins, because that's the whole aim. So to executives out there, remember that CISOs cannot do their job without your buy-in and your support. That's very important. So Bernard, remind us tomorrow, what time is your presentation here at the Security Summit?
I shall be speaking tomorrow. I think it's at 2:35. I believe it's track 1. However, you can check on the agenda, and I'm sure that you'll see me walking around, and I'll definitely pull you in as long as you're ready.
Thank you so much. There was Bernard Chadenga, who is the vCISO. He's a founder as well as the CEO of the Cimplicity Institute. And if you'd like to catch his presentation tomorrow, you can. If you still haven't registered for the Security Summit right here at the Convention Center, go to itweb.co.za, go to the events tab, and it's not too late to come and learn. There's lots of learning to be done, lots of speakers and insightful conversations and networking to be had. So from me, Sibahle Malinga, coming to you live from Sandton, Take care. Enjoy your day.